Hello and welcome to another Canguro English Daily Digest. My name is Christian and today is Friday, the best day of the week. Now, because it's Friday, I want to give you some motivation that you can then take into the weekend. Okay? And I want to start by telling you a joke. So, there's a British politician and a Brazilian politician. And the Brazilian politician is visiting the house of the British politician. And the British politician is showing him around his beautiful home. And he says, "Do you see this car here, this Rolls Royce?" He said, "Do you know how I got the money to buy this?" And the Brazilian politician says, "No, how?" He says, "Well, do you see that bridge over there? Well, 5% of the construction budget into my pocket." And the Brazilian politician says, "Oh, interesting. So a few months later, the British politician is visiting the Brazilian politician at his house. And the Brazilian politician is showing him around. And he says, "Hey, do you see this Lamborghini here? Do you know how I bought it?" And the British politician says, "No, how?" And he says, "Well, do you see that bridge over there?" And the British politician says, What bridge?" And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the world of politics. Now, I think what this joke shows is that there's something universal about the way that we view politicians. They have a way of playing with the truth, bending the truth. And that's a little bit about what I want to talk about today. And I want to start by reading you some facts. Okay, you ready? So, the Atlantic Ocean is the largest ocean on Earth. The Minotaur is the legendary one-eyed giant in Greek mythology. Oslo is the capital of Finland. And Alexander Graham Bell is the inventor of the wireless radio. Now, if you are a person who maybe has some good general knowledge, then you will know that actually all of those things I just told you are not true, because the Pacific Ocean is the largest on Earth. The Cyclops is the name of the one-eyed creature from Greek mythology. Helsinki is the capital of Finland, and the wireless radio was invented by Marconi. But how would it be possible for me to convince you that those things were not true? How could I make my lies real? Well, I want to introduce you to something called the illusory truth effect. And this was first proven by some work that was done in the 1970s. And these true and false statements actually come from some work from 2015 called "Knowledge Does Not Protect Against Illusory Truth." And what they did in this experiment was they got people, the volunteers in this experiment started to believe that these things were true, even though they were not. How did they do that? They did that through repetition. It seems that there's something about the way that our brains work. They work by repetition. Repetition is really powerful. If you repeat something enough, it becomes true. Probably because we can work with a concept more fluently. It's a bit like it's easier for you to process vocabulary that you hear repeated a lot than it is for you to process vocabulary that's new. And it's the same with information. Now, here's a question. How can you protect yourself against being a victim of this? How can you protect yourself against lies. Well, maybe you think you can protect yourself by knowing a lot of stuff, by getting knowledge. Well, this paper proved that that is not true. That's what it's called. Knowledge does not protect against illusory truth. Okay, maybe you can be protected by critical thinking, by your cognitive ability, your intelligence, your thinking style. I've got some bad news for you. This work here from 2019, from this year, showed that illusory truth is not affected by cognitive ability or cognitive closure or cognitive style. It doesn't matter how intelligent you are. It doesn't matter how critically you think. Repetition is more powerful. Now, why am I telling you this? Because this doesn't appear related to English. Well, I'm telling you this because I received a message from a teacher on Instagram, and she said this: students suffer from a major case of Stockholm Syndrome. They love certificates. They think that what matters is what you can prove on paper. And this is because of the power of repetition. You go into your classroom and you hear grammar, you hear exams, you hear the CFR levels, B1, B2, you hear about native speakers, you hear about native pronunciation. You hear all of those things enough times and they start to become truth. Now, you can accuse me of repeating the same message again and again and again and again. And I will, and I'll repeat it until I'm blue in the face, because I want that to become the new truth. Nobody cares about exam results. Nobody cares about your mistakes. Nobody wants you to be a native speaker. Nobody wants you to be anything else except yourself. And none of those things are important. Grammar is not language. Workbooks are not language. Most people, the barrier to them when they're trying to use their language is something that everybody has in common, I think. And this is today's word of the day: per. But this is actually a Proto-Indo-European word. This is a word that is the foundation for most European languages. Per. And over time, this word transformed into a word that rules the lives of a lot of people learning a language. Fear. Fear of entering into a conversation, fear of looking stupid, fear of making mistakes, fear of people laughing at you. But this word fear comes from the word per, and you will find this word per in the word experiment. You cannot experiment without fear. Fear is an integral part of experimentation. You will also find per in the word experience. You will never have experiences without also having fear. Anything that you do in life can be scary, but what's the point of learning a language if you never use it to do things? For thousands of years, language was never written down or studied. It was never an object of academic interest. It's just a tool for communication. And if you're not using it to communicate, then you have really forgotten what makes us special as humans, and that is the power of language. So this weekend, go out there and do something with your English. I'm Christian, this is Canguro English, and I'll see you in class.